So today I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to shoot more accurately, and the advice I'm going to give you here would apply to a BB pistol, pellet pistol, paintball pistol, or a regular firearm. Now, believe it or not, I've been shooting pistols for about 20 years, and I've never actually been very good up until the last couple of years. And I remember I used to go to the gun range, and I would try, and my shots would be all over the place. And I would have people that worked at the ranges as well as other customers try to help me shoot more accurately, and they would check, oh well, how far away are my feet, what stance am I in, and is my arm too bent, and am I looking straight down, all these different things, and nothing seemed to help. And it wasn't until just a few years ago that a friend of mine from the military taught me about trigger accuracy, and to my surprise, that was the problem I had the whole time. And so I'm going to teach you how to do it, and I'm going to be using one of my favorite BB guns to show you. Now, the best way to explain this is if anybody's ever driven a manual transmission vehicle, you know that when you operate the clutch, there is a certain spot in the clutch that when you move the pedal over that threshold, the clutch makes contact with the engine. And so over time you realize that you can ignore this large area of movement and focus your foot movement on this tiny little portion of the clutch. And really it's very similar when dealing with the trigger. And what you want to do is you want to pull the trigger. What you need to find out on your specific gun first, where that threshold is where you pull the trigger and the gun fires. And so what you want to do is once you figure that out on that specific gun, when you're aiming, you want to go ahead and pull the trigger to that threshold, and then refocus your aim, and then at that point you can go ahead and pull the trigger the rest of the way, which should fire the gun. Now, that in and of itself will give you greatly enhanced accuracy, but if you want to make those perfect shots, then there's another trick that you can use. And that's what you want to do is you go ahead and do the first part I told you, and get that trigger partially pulled. But then, when it comes time to finish pulling the trigger, pull your finger, pull it in so slowly that you don't even know yourself when the gun is going to fire. You just say, you know what, I'm gonna keep pulling the trigger, and I'm just gonna let the gun surprise me when it goes off. And all the time that you're doing this, make sure, of course, that your sights are firmly focused on the target that you're shooting at. And what you'll find is that if you take this advice, you will hit the center of the target every single time, guaranteed. I'll give you a quick demonstration. I'll show you an unedited video shot of me doing the exact same thing at 20 feet with this gun right here. What a lot of people don't realize is the movement of the gun caused by pulling the trigger that actually destroys your accuracy. Because believe it or not, when you pull that trigger, it tends to make the gun move side to side or even up and down, depending upon how your grip is. The other advice I can give you is to loosen up. I had always been told to grip the gun as tightly as possible, especially when shooting like a 9mm or 45. I've always been told, oh, that gun's going to jump out of your hand. You got to hold it as much as possible. Well, that's just not true. You got this little section of the gun right here, and that's where most of the force is going to go. And yeah, the gun may go up a little bit. Now these don't because they don't have much recoil, but a real firearm would. But it's still not going to jump out of your hand. And really, these bottom two fingers don't really put a whole lot of grip on that. Just kind of use a little grip with this finger here, but let these two fingers, let them be kind of loose, and just hold the gun mostly with your middle finger and then go to shoot with your top finger, and that because the force of those bottom fingers on the grip will also cause the gun to move while you're trying to shoot it and while you're trying to pull the trigger. So again, just loosen up on it. Middle finger being the main thing holding the gun, and then pull it to the threshold. And then when you get to that threshold, just keep tightening your grip just ever so slightly, just a little bit at a time, till the gun goes off, and you'll get it. I want to show you something else fascinating that happened during the filming of this video. I'm going to show you the same clip I showed you a minute ago where I was showing the trigger control up close, but I'm going to let the clip finish a little bit and see if you can figure out what happened here. I thought there was something wrong with the gun, but the gun kept firing, as you'll notice. Well, believe it or not, the source of that hissing was actually the CO2 cartridge. I was afraid it was the gun had broken, or seal or something had messed up inside. I'm very glad that wasn't the case, because that's my favorite BB gun, and it's also the most accurate one I had, which is the reason that I used it for this video. But yeah, it turns out it's the CO2 cartridge. I know this because I stuck another CO2 cartridge in there, and I shot off about 50 rounds off the gun and didn't have any problems. So what I think happened is it's got this little cap around the top, and I think that's where the leak occurred, and so it was actually leaking directly out of the side of the CO2 cartridge. Anyway, I've never seen anything like that happen before, but like I said, at least it wasn't the gun. Thanks for watching.